From news and views, issues and opportunities, we'll have in-depth conversations with decision makers to find out what they know and what they think. I'm Rico Hizon, inviting you to join this special edition of The Exchange, where we mark a year of restrictions due to the pandemic, because your business is our business.
Takot kasi sabihin lockdown, but it's a lockdown.
The world's longest and strictest lockdown because of COVID-19, 1 year on. More than 500,000 Filipinos infected. About 4 million jobless. And the economy at its worst rate of decline since World War II.
Alam kong pare-pareho tayong pagod.
Where do we go from here?
The economy is strong enough to recover if we allow it to do so.
Is the worst of the pandemic over? The ultimate test of leadership to help save lives and keep hope alive. How local leaders stepped up to fill the gap for Filipinos living from hand to mouth day by day. And the business that defied the odds to survive and thrive during a crisis. The vision for resilient and responsive businesses in our C-Suite vision. On this day last year, President Rodrigo Duterte announced that Metro Manila was to be placed under a community quarantine, a term the region's 12 million people knew nothing about. What would eventually be called a lockdown was an attempt to stem the transmission of COVID-19 with 52 confirmed cases. From those infections last year to more than 600,000 today and counting. This was how the capital region looked like at the height of the lockdown. And today, with restrictions already relaxed. A street in Carriedo, Manila in March 2020 almost looked like a ghost town. Today, people are again out and about with their face masks and face shields on. An underpass in Quiapo last year, empty and dark with shops closed. Today, small businesses are back. And a half-open door at Quiapo Church, allowing devotees only a peek at hope. Now, wide open for the faithful to come in and pray. As the economy reopens and people learn to live with the virus, how do we bounce back? Let's now have an exchange with Acting Socio-Economic Planning Secretary Carl Chua. Carl, thank you so much for joining us. What will restore confidence in this economy, which is currently in contraction and in a recession?
Thank you, Rico, for inviting me. There are, I think, three main strategies to restore confidence and to help accelerate our recovery. The first is we have to manage the risk and open the economy as much as we can in the safest possible manner. The second one is, we have a recovery package comprising Bayanihan 2, the 2020 budget that was extended, the 2021 budget, the CREATE bill, which is about to be signed into law, and the FIS. And we are now talking with Congress on the guide. So all of these are important packages for recovery, and we have to implement them as soon as we can. And the third one is the timely deployment of our vaccination program. So these are our three strategies for recovery and restoring confidence this year.
Hopefully, they're implemented right away so it will help our kababayans and the overall economy. Carl, many questions from our kababayans tungkol sa hirap ng buhay ngayon. Pakinggan natin si Lucio Udlaw.
Meron pa ba kaming dagdag ayuda?
Carl, 4 million of our kababayans still don't have jobs. Meron pa rin bang darating na ayuda sa kanila?
Well, that's a very valid point and concern, Rico. The 2021 budget and Bayanihan 2 have hundreds of billions worth of subsidies and emergency support to the people. But let me just tell you this. the most cost-effective and efficient way of helping the people address their joblessness, their lack of income, and the growing hunger rate is really to open the economy as safely as we can. When the provinces outside Metro Manila shifted from GCQ to MGCQ, we were able to lift 18 million Filipinos out of hunger, according to the Social Weather Station survey. Now, in Metro Manila, we are still in GCQ. That created one of the highest hunger rate at 23% or 3.2 million. So we will have to help all those affected by opening the economy as much as we can and being very targeted in giving our support to the people who most need it.
But that's still a big question mark, opening up the economy even further, given the fact that we have the rising number of infections of COVID-19 with the South Africa and the UK variants. And Carl, may tanong dito si Miguela Katikbak tungkol sa trabaho, about jobs.
Ano pong plano ng gobyerno sa mga taong wala pong trabaho ngayon?
Ayan, Carl, saan ang mga job opportunities ngayon? In which industries and sectors?
Right. So let me explain in the following manner. No? At the height of the ECQ, our unemployment rate was almost around 17 or 18%. Now, 1 year later, when we relaxed and we saw the survey of January came out a few days ago, we were able to bring down unemployment rate to around 8.7%. So clearly, a lot of the problem of joblessness is driven by the kind of quarantine we have. Now, we have to be very careful. There are new variants, but it doesn't mean that we have to shut down the rest of the country or the rest of the industries to contain a few thousands of cases. Remember, Rico, there are 3.2 million hungry people in NCR. There are 550,000 more poor people in NCR and 700,000 more unemployed. So we will have to find this balance. So as I mentioned, we will have to open the economy as safely as we can and implement our recovery package. We have a budget of 4.5 trillion peso this year, and a big part of that is geared towards responding to the COVID-19 pandemic and the economic impact.
Fair enough, Carl. And Elvira Vetus has a micro business, and she has a question for you, Carl.
May programa ba ang gobyerno para sa maliliit na negosyante?
So tell us, Carl, natulungan ba ng Bayanihan 2 ang mga micro, small enterprises? Because they were the ones really affected by this pandemic.
Well, Bayanihan 2 has around 130 billion peso worth of support, whether it is a direct support to the people in the form of a subsidy or it is coursed through the banking system. Now, the reason why we course it through the banking system is because we can multiply that amount of capital that we put in the banking system and reach more people. And the way we help the people and the small businesses are the following. No? Number one, we are giving interest rate subsidies. In other words, the first year or two of interest payments are taken care of by the government. Number two, through the Phil guarantee, we have provided credit guarantees that guarantee 50 to 80% of their loans when they borrow from the bank. So these are some of the examples that Bayanihan 2 is providing. But let me just put the bigger context. There is a limit to the amount of money we can provide. As I mentioned, the most effective way, cost-efficient way to really help businesses who are entrepreneurial is really to open the economy. And there are three things we need to do. So number one, we safely open the economy to MGCQ or lower. Number two, we increase or expand the age group allowed to go out. So that will create more demand. And number three, we address the shortage in public transportation. And if needed, we support those who bike to work.
Thank you so much for your views and insights and for this exchange, Acting NEDA Secretary Carl Chua. And now here's a rundown of the week's top business stories. President Duterte says he wants to further open the economy within weeks, but he says that more people have to be vaccinated against COVID-19 first. The Financial Executives Institute of the Philippines says the vaccine rollout shall restore economic confidence. And the film industry has lost 12 billion pesos in revenue so far as most cinemas remain closed. You're watching a special edition of The Exchange as we mark 1 year of pandemic restrictions. How effective were local governments in responding to the health and economic crisis? And a heartwarming video of a grandmother getting a warm embrace after a year of physical distancing. Keep it right here on CNN Philippines. News you can trust.
Nakabuti lang po ron, nakasama ko po yung pamilya ko ng medyo matagal-tagal.
Yung konting naipon, naubos.
Nag-online selling ako, mas nagpumatok.
Kasi yung worst dahil sa, syempre, nawalan ng work for like how many months?
Sama-sama kaming magpamilya, yung hindi namin nagagawa noon, nagawa na namin.
Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Senators want a national state of emergency declared as the African swine fever cripples pork supply. Members of the Senate Agriculture Committee says this will allow more funds to address the hog industry's concerns. The early days of quarantine restrictions resulted in chaos in Metro Manila. Financial markets shut down as cases mounted. Take a look at these images back in March 2020. Long lines of workers stranded at checkpoints, commuters scrambling to return home before borders were closed, families awaiting doleouts from government. With an unprecedented crisis, local leaders had to quickly intervene. Let's now have an exchange with Marikina City Mayor Marcy Teodoro. Mayor, maraming salamat po for joining us. Ano pa po ang mga hamon ang hinaharap ng ating mga local government a year since the lockdown?
Marami, Rico, marami. Isa na rito yung ating regulatory framework and the capacity to implement these regulations. We're experiencing what we call pandemic fatigue. Similarly, our citizens have been has been in quarantine in the past year. Kaya mas marami gustong lumabas, and because of the challenges that we're having with the economy, we're trying to gradually open up more economic activities. Kaya we need to calibrate our capacity to enforce regulations, particularly minimum health protocols.
Yes.
Mas kailangan natin ng maraming personnel, equipment, at resources for this purpose.
Sa palagay nyo, Mayor, ano pang kailangan magbago? What has to change in the COVID-19 response? Sapat ba ang coordination ng national and local governments, lalong-lalo na tumataas ang mga kaso ng COVID?
A whole-of-government approach, I think, Rico, is very important at this point in time. Yung resources ng local should be complemented with the resources of the national government. Yung kaninang binanggit ko, even our regulatory framework, because each LGU has been enjoying what we call the local autonomy. Kaya paggawa nila ng mga regulations o kaya yung pagdedetermine nila what quarantine measures is necessary for their particular locality ay naiiba dun sa kabilang LGU. We need to unify our regulations. Similarly, what we are doing now in Metro Manila, that we are adopting a unified curfew hours for the whole Metro Manila. In terms of locking down the community, we cannot do lockdown on a standalone basis dahil our area is contiguous and porous yung boundary natin. Our people are highly mobile. Kaya kailangan din, lockdown should be coordinated in all LGUs.
That's right.
Secondly, there should be data sharing in terms of what we have now, adopting an apps for contact tracing that can be shared by all LGUs or cities in Metro Manila.
So,
dahil halimbawa, yung nagtatrabahong taga Marikina, ay lumalabas ng city at pupunta halimbawa ang trabaho sa Quezon City or Makati, kung may nakuhang infection o COVID from another city, uuwi
That's right.
dito. So
Yes.
there should be data sharing in terms of contact tracing.
Correct. Mayor. Mayor. You
Yes.
mentioned about the curfew, which will be implemented on March 15. That's from 10 in the evening until 5 in the morning. And you also mentioned the importance of the implementation of a unified contact tracing application, which hasn't yet been implemented by the national government. Pero ngayon nandito na ang bakuna. You have Sinovac, AstraZeneca, and millions more from other brands. Giginhawa ba ulit ang ating ekonomiya pag nandito na siya?
Rico, the real issue about the vaccine is the supply. We have a very limited supply of vaccines. Kaya nakakaranas tayo ngayon na napakabagal na deployment and administration of the vaccine. Remember, nasa ano pa lang tayo, first target group, the medical frontliners. We want to inoculate our medical frontliners in order to address the institutional integrity of our healthcare system. We don't want for our healthcare system to collapse because of the number of COVID cases that we're experiencing now because of the surge. Kaya gusto natin ma-maintain tong resilient at robust tong ating healthcare system through the vaccination program. I think we should finish it on a timely basis.
60 to 70 million Filipinos to have a herd immunity. Thank you so much for this exchange, Marikina City Mayor Marcy Teodoro. Well, the COVID pandemic brought out the best and worst in us. We asked you, what was your most memorable experience during this lockdown? Garcia Conrad said he had enough time to rest. He started his savings account and he also started his Facebook page. Well, this netizen commented on Instagram, except for the jobs lost and the deaths, lockdown was awesome. No crowds, less pollution, healthier environment, and quality time with the family. Kakay Logan said the best thing that happened was family bonding, but the worst thing that happened was the liquor ban. Well, netizens also shared how they coped during the lockdowns on the chat room with me on the CNN Philippines Facebook page. Gerald Grana said, I believe that despite the loss, there is opportunity. I started a small ice cream business that has helped my family get by to this day. Well, continue chatting and sharing your insights with us on our official social media pages. And still ahead on the exchange, small businesses are the backbone of the economy. Check out these entrepreneurs who survived and thrived amid this crisis. And this grandma gets to do something again after a year as she completes her COVID-19 vaccine. That heartwarming moment is coming up right here on CNN Philippines News You Can Trust. Glad you're staying with us right here on The Exchange, where your business is our business. I'm Rico Hizon. Dito Telecommunity, formally launched in the Visayas and Mindanao, rolling out mobile services in 15 Cebu and Davao cities on March 8th. The third telco hopes to cater to subscribers nationwide this June. And the first ever tweet is up for sale. Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey is selling it in a digital auction as a non-fungible token. Well, the tweet, which he made in 2006, has reached a bid of $2.5 million. The COVID-19 pandemic impacted consumers and businesses, but these small companies were able to survive and thrive despite the health crisis, pivoting and adapting to the changing times. Let's now have an exchange with Charlotte Tanoja, House of Pulveron owner, and Wado Siman, the owner of Wado's Cake Shop. Thank you so much for joining us. Charlotte, let's start off with you. Kamusta ang Pulveron business isang taon since the lockdown?
So far, surviving naman po. We used to have 9 kiosks sa mall. Ngayon, we're down to 6 kiosks. We were forced to close 3 outlets.
Wado, ikaw naman, kamusta ang cakes, cupcakes, and cookies business natin?
Ngayon po, during the pandemic, we're actually thriving because of the strength of social media. Most of our posts, we go viral. Kaya medyo, malakas for us, for the business.
Ayan, Charlotte, malakas ang business ni Wado because of online selling. Is it also the same for the House of Pulvoron? Nakatulong ba sa negosyo mo ang digital platform?
Actually, yung digital platform, we've been there even before pandemic pa. Kaya lang, the reduced sales that we experienced during the lockdown, hindi pa rin, significantly pa rin yung impact sa business namin. Siguro kasi we've been around for a long time and if you're gonna compare yung business performance in the previous year prior to pandemic, so malaki po talaga yung impact sa amin.
So iba pa rin ba selling your pulveron in malls, in physical stores, compared to selling them online?
I would say yes, kasi yung the online business is just picking up now, So before kasi people will just go to the mall and buy it, and maybe also because of the low consumer demand due to let's say reduced income of people who used to buy a lot. Now we'll just maybe pick up 1 box. So there are a lot of factors contributing to the low consumer demand of the product right now. And also the tourism industry were badly affected kasi our products used to be at the airports and people who travel will just pick it up there. Ngayon, nag-close down lahat. So we're also affected by the tourism slowdown.
So Wado, how important is it, just like Charlotte, that you have a physical coffee shop like where you are right now, selling your cakes and cupcakes compared to selling online?
Well, honestly, having a physical store parang just gives you the credibility probably na people can easily access you if they want to go out. But more than that, honestly, mostly yung income namin during the pandemic is also online. So most of the orders we get we just use the physical store as a pickup point. Dito lang nila kukunin yung mga orders nila. But again, syempre, you can still feel that people are afraid to go out, they are afraid to dine out. Kaya medyo limited pa rin yung seating capacity for dine-in customers.
Charlotte, we spoke to you last year and you were really suffering because of the pandemic, particularly your sales, and you have closed down some of your mall kiosks. And of course, the government had this Bayanihan 2 law helping micro, small, and medium-sized enterprises. Nakatulong ba ang gobyerno sa inyo noong mga araw ng paghihirap ninyo?
Well, when I had an interview last October 2020, wala pa kaming nare-receive na any support, no? But come December, meron kami na-receive na bayanihan package that's about 5,000 for each of our employees, which is, I think, will not be enough kasi we have reduced the operations significantly by, let's say, they report to work 2 times a week and they used to work every day. So, yung impact, mas nararamdaman pa rin namin. And I think the Bayanihan program, maybe yung 5,000 will only last them for a month.
Correct.
And I remember my part 1 and 2 yan pero isang beses kami naka-receive for our employees and that's about it.
And Wado, what advice would you give micro and small enterprises na nahihirapan pa rin sa mga araw na ito sa kanilang mga negosyo?
I honestly think that social media is really a strong platform. Now we should really take advantage of it kasi it's free, it's available for everyone. And ngayon, lalo na ng pandemic, everyone's just at home and probably online. So it's easier to sell, parang level play field tayo with big players sa food industry. So we really need to take advantage of it. So if there's anything you would like to sell, the online platform is there. Tapos, syempre, dito mo rin makikita yung support of friends because it's really the word of mouth which gives your brand or your product credibility. So just go online and dun ka magpakilala kasi everyone's there ngayon.
Thank you so much to both of you for this small business exchange. Charlotte Tanoja, House of Pulvoron owner, and Wado Siman, the owner of Wado's Cake Shop. And as the world pins its hope on vaccines for a return to normalcy, this grandmother in New York got a glimpse of it herself. After getting her second COVID-19 shot, New Yorker Evelyn Shaw was able to hug again after a year, embracing none other than her granddaughter. Let's take a look at this tender moment. Such an emotional moment between Evelyn and her granddaughter. And this is the fight of our lives where we all battle on the front lines. And here are some guiding words from Kevin Baster, the CEO of American fast food chain A&W Restaurants. In a crisis, it is easy to panic and throw out your game plan. My advice is to avoid that temptation. And this is The Exchange. We make sense of the facts and the figures and the ups and downs of the business cycle because your business is our business. Thank you for joining me on this special edition of The Exchange, where we recognize the Filipino resilience and find a glimmer of hope amid this ongoing pandemic. I'm Rico Hizon. This is CNN Philippines. News you can use, news you can trust.